And I'm going to hit record, and it's Tuesday, August 18th. Got Michelle Charles with me and Wyatt Russell, and Chad will join us later to talk about building a resilience team in your organization. Right now, we're going to start by reviewing all the changes in Ring Central. Chad's joining right now, looks like. And I know we did a live stream weeks ago, months ago, I don't know, earlier this year about Ring Central and all the changes. But those changes continue, and I think it'd be a good refresher. Wyatt and I talked about this. We use Ring Central. We have a lot of clients who use Ring Central. There have been so many changes, and I know it can be frustrating, the changes. Like, if you don't see any changes in an app, that can be frustrating. And if you see way too many in an app, that can be frustrating, especially when they don't do a good job of communicating when those changes are coming or what the long-term plan is. So regardless, why I'm going to pass it over to you, and we'll do a 10, 15-minute overview of the changes we're seeing and kind of the pros and cons of how to deal with it.
Yeah. So like Ben mentioned there, Ring Central has gone through a lot of change, really just through COVID. And that was planned prior to COVID, so they continued on. So anyway, as for those of you that use Ring Central, you probably know that there's the Ring Central app, which we are calling new Ring Central, and there's Ring Central Classic. Then, on top of that, there is also a separate app called Ring Central Meetings. And there is also another app called Ring Central Phone, and there are more, but those are generally the ones that we have installed on our users' machines. Real quickly on Ring Central Phone, you do not need it anymore, and there's actually more functionality in either Ring Central Classic or New Ring Central. And they will be deprecating Ring Central Phone in the coming year. So want to talk about briefly just the differences that the new version of Ring Central, the app, has compared to Ring Central Classic. It does visually look different, but according to Ring Central, it is now up to where Ring Central Classic is as far as feature set goes, and they're continuing to improve it. We have a client that uses the tasks feature in Ring Central, and that wasn't there for a while. That is now there in the new Ring Central. So if you are a client and you do use Ring Central, we'd encourage you to try the new version. And if you find that it's missing functionality from Ring Central Classic, please let us know so that we can get on Ring Central to try to move them along quicker. They are working to bring this new app up to speed and to also get their video service up to where Ring Central Meetings is. So to switch gears a little bit, we'll talk about the difference between Ring Central Meetings and Ring Central Video. So Ring Central Meetings is essentially Zoom. Ring Central utilizes Zoom, but then they put it in their package. That's Ring Central Meetings. And you can use that through the Meetings app, standalone Ring Central Meetings app. You can also use that through Ring Central Classic or New Ring Central. In the past, Ring Central Meetings, if you wanted to, let's say, I work for Andy's Apples, and I want to have a meeting with Susie's Sunshine Peaches, and she's outside of my organization. In the past, with Ring Central Meetings, you would have to have Susie use her computer for video and her phone for audio. That's cumbersome, and it can cause issues. I've heard issues with clients where people will drop off and come back, and they try to admit them via the waiting room, separate topic. Anyway, now Ring Central Meetings, just like Ring Central Video, which we'll talk about in a second, you should be able to do everything, audio, video, through a web browser without having to install the application. So that is a very nice feature that they've added in. That's something that was sorely missed prior.
Yeah, I think that's, just to reiterate, that's a huge benefit of using the latest and greatest Ring Central, is hosting a meeting that your clients or partners can join 100% through a web browser with nothing to install. The problem with that is it still seems like they try to direct you toward the app. Like
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
always very clear how to get into the web only participation. And
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
just noticed that.
You're right, Ben. That you're right. If let's say you've never used Ring Central, you've been invited to a meeting, either via Ring Central meetings or video. Yeah, that first prompt that comes up, they want, it looks like you have to install it. But if you look behind that window, you see join in browser. You just have to hit escape or close that window, or just click the join in browser, and that'll get you in there.
I remember in the old
So
version, we had figured out it was kind of a hack, but if you changed the URL and built it in a certain way, it would always dump them into the web browser. And I used that a couple times for people that couldn't seem to get to the web browser. But back
mhm.
then, they still had to call in, so that was confusing. Um,
Yeah.
so just to reiterate, today, if we think of meetings, Ring Central meetings as the original, and then
Hmm.
they kind of moved that into Ring Central, and now we've
Hmm.
got Ring Central Classic, and we've got the new Ring Central. Is there
Hmm.
still a valid reason to continue using Ring Central meetings? I mean, it seems like they still, to this day, list it on their website. So is
That's
there
the
a
Right.
most
valid
confusing
reason?
part. Yeah, is the website.
Yeah, yeah, you both are exactly right. I don't know why they have so many individual pieces of software. Um,
Hmm.
I, I know that their goal is to bring it all together, and that's certainly our goal here at Forget
And I
Computers
have to
is
tell
to,
you, the web browser is awesome. I mean, I'm connected to you right now, right,
yeah,
doing this, and
yeah,
I think it's fantastic. I mean, it's nice because in my side of things, right, when I talk to colleagues that are in security, that are in other specialists in different areas from time to time when we need them, they won't download Ring Central. They won't do
right,
it, right?
right,
It's bad OPSEC to do that, right? And so we
right.
want to make sure that these kinds of solutions are ultimately, I mean, I can still see the value for installing the app, say internally, if you're using, the soft phone feature. That makes sense,
Hmm.
right? But if you're
Right,
not, everything's just going to your mobile anyway, because you can configure RC to go to your mobile if you really want to, right?
right.
But if you want
Well, I
that
think.
additional like dial an extension number, a 3-digit extension or something, you were probably gonna say that, right?
Well, so to address Ben's question, I think what he was asking is there a reason to have meetings and Ring Central, either classic or new, installed concurrently? Is there a reason
Hmm.
for that? Um, I don't see one. No.
Hmm.
You have all of the functionality within classic or in Ring Central new that you do in the standalone application.
That's great.
There isn't a reason.
That's great.
So
Yeah,
for
I
those of
haven't used Ring
you,
Central meetings in months, and
I
I
haven't
think
either. Yeah.
anyone who still uses it is just out of habit. I haven't seen
Yep.
a reason why we've had to put anyone back on Ring Central meetings once we got them off Ring Central meetings.
No.
So the
Yeah,
rings,
there
but
isn't.
I want to clarify the Ring Central Classic versus Ring Central. We also, for a while, thought that there was parity until we realized just little bitty things. And you mentioned, Wyatt, the ability to, I think it was the ability to comment on a task
Right.
was missing
Hmm.
in the new Ring Central. And what was interesting, and because we didn't use that feature, we didn't know about it, but one of our clients did. And that was a big deal for them. That was their workflow. Like if we can't
Yes.
comment on a task, then that's a deal breaker.
Hmm.
And it turns out that the iOS version of Ring Central, which tends to lead the Mac version, they
Yeah.
clearly
Yeah.
update the iOS version first, which makes sense
Hmm.
because I think a lot more people have iPhones and even iPads cumulatively than they do Macs,
Hmm.
probably.
Yep.
So they that feature was built into the iOS version. But
Right.
are you
Their
saying
mobile
that they
app's
did
really
fix that on the
solid.
Mac version? Do we know?
Yes.
They
Yes.
did. Okay.
Yes. So I did. I've done a couple of webinars with Ring Central as of late, and
Hmm.
they did spend a good amount of time showing tasks and how to create tasks, work with tasks in the new version. If you are an end user that uses tasks, as part of your workflow, we'd encourage you to try the new Ring
Check it
Central
out.
and see if you can, see how your workflow goes. I have a couple of folks that do use that feature that I asked if they would try the new version, and so far they haven't reported any
Hmm.
issues with it. Um, the graphical user interface, or GUI, is different. So where you
Mm-hmm.
create that task is different than classic. It looks different. So, there's some slight adjustments that, you'll have to make in the new version.
Mm-hmm.
But once you get used to it, it's all of the functionality should be there should be parity now between classic
Mm-hmm.
and new. And like I said earlier, if you are an end user and you find discrepancies between the two, please let us know so that we can push Ring Central to get those going. That
Meetings
said, Ring
didn't.
Central keeps saying that they're constantly improving, and they're spending a lot of time working on the new version of Ring Central and Ring Central Video. I'm sorry, Chad, what were you going to say?
Oh, no, it's cool, man. That's really good info, man. Thank you for making the time to sit in those webinars and go
No, of
through
course.
that stuff. Isn't always, sometimes it can be tedious. And so I'm grateful that you distilled that for us.
Well,
I was thinking one of the,
Central, so.
well, it makes a lot of selfishly for me too, because like I've run into issues. Most recently, the issue is learning that I can't use the v.ringcentral links with meetings.
Really?
So I can just copy and paste. Yeah, I can. It will not use meetings. It requires you to have ringcentral.app.
The V dot does
V dot links,
the newer app.
And so the workaround, or the better solution, is to take the v.ringcentral link and paste it into a browser. Right.
Agreed.
That's awesome. But that's where the meetings has been more solid, more predictable for me. I still have meetings installed.
Well,
for some things, right?
They've been developing meetings for years, right?
Long
and
time,
they continue to develop it,
Yeah.
And so now if we switch gears slightly to, okay, so we do now have Ring Central Meetings and Ring Central Video. They're two separate things. As I said earlier, Ring Central Meetings is Zoom with Ring Central wrapped around it. And Ring Central Video is their own product coded from the ground up by Ring Central.
And we're using it right now, just to be clear. We're using the new Ring Central Video. And overall, it works great. Although, Chad, I noticed you've been choppy for me visually right now.
Oh, really? Okay, I'm on the browser, and I don't have anything running. So that it probably is. And I'm
Ben and Michelle,
300
you
megabit
both have been crystal clear the entire time.
Yeah.
But yes, Ben, you're
and you
correct.
have two, Wyatt. Yeah.
There are differences, right? And Ring Central is working to get all of the features that are in Ring Central Meetings into Ring Central Video. A couple of big standouts right now that we're waiting on: breakout rooms. Our clients use breakout rooms. That is not available in video. And also the waiting room feature, which is primarily for security. That is not in video yet, but Ring Central Video does have other security measures that Ring Central Meetings does not. And I can show you those if you like, if we have time. But to really just kind of wrap it all together, is it safe to use Ring Central Video now? Absolutely, yes. There's no reason from a security standpoint, unless Chad says otherwise.
I think it's smart. The direction that they're going makes sense from my selfish perspective, right? Because I don't want to have to add another layer to my defense in depth strategy by worrying about another app. I'm already securing the browser and I already understand the browser. I would prefer to manage just the browser, right?
Right.
Rather than adding all these other, additional layers. And for our clients, they are already running into that because their clients aren't wanting to install Ring Central. Their clients aren't wanting to, do that. They would want to be able to, and they're using Zoom. They're working around it, right? And Ring Central doesn't want that because that's how they're going to lose market share. So there's everything for everyone to gain in all of this, right? And I like the browser-based model that they seem to be moving towards. That's smart.
I agree, and I also think that it's lighter weight. At least in my experience, it is not as resource intensive. So, AKA, your fans aren't going to kick up immediately when you get on a video call, I notice. It's just not as hard on the computer. So if you have an older computer, you have a computer with not a ton of RAM, Ring Central Video runs better on it. And it also has some handy new features. Right now, as we're in this call, I can click on these three little bars and check my connection. I can click on Ben and see how his connection is.
However,
and it doesn't just say good, it gives me packet loss and delay. And
if you
sorry, Chad, go
say,
ahead.
well, if you say your network connection is satisfactory, upstream ideal, video 31 millisecond delay, and packet loss 0, but you say my video is choppy.
Yours is,
right?
yes. Yeah, which
So
is
these
interesting.
aren't exactly accurate then, because
Maybe not.
and if I hit fast.com, for example, I'm getting 330 megabits a second. So I mean, I only need like solid 15 to 20, right, to be at megabits to be really solid, right? I'm at, a lot more than that. And so it's still choppy. That tells me that there's either,
Chad,
some
do you
benefit
have
to having the app, right?
Do you have the app installed or not?
Not the new one, just meetings.
I was going
Let
to
me
say,
hop on with meetings. Well, I can't because it's a Ring Central.
Well, see, that's another thing that you said that I'm a little confused by, because my understanding is that you can use a meetings link with video and they should work.
Let me try again. I'll try
so-
again.
I know it will work in Classic, but I don't know if it'll work in the Meetings app or not.
Yeah,
but
I
you could
haven't
give
had
it a
luck.
try
It won't.
just
It won't
by
accept
using
it.
using the ID, which
But
I noticed you can
I've
also
tried that. Yeah,
you can
it's a
also
totally different
hover.
infrastructure, I think.
You can also hover over the ID and copy the meeting link, which is nice. I didn't even know about this network connection. It is showing chat as being good, but clearly there's something going on here. Wyatt, I wanted to do a quick demo of how to switch back and forth between the video settings.
Yeah.
Would you like either I could do that or you could do that.
I can do it. Let me go ahead and share my screen here.
And this is I was doing this silly little video for a friend of mine's birthday, and I wanted to extract, basically. I wanted to steal some music from YouTube. Okay, I admit it. And one easy way to do that is to actually, play the video in YouTube while you're recording a Ring Central meeting, and then you can just take the audio only clip and throw it in iMovie. But the new Ring Central video was not doing that. It wasn't working for me. And I'm like, I know I've done this before. What am I missing? And then I remembered, I was using the old Ring Central. So I switched, using the brand new Ring Central, I switched back to the old video service called Ring Central Meetings. And we're going to show you how to do that.
Yep.
And then I was able to record the audio like I expected to.
Cool.
And
good idea. That's a good hack, man. That's smart.
All right. So this is what Ring Central, the new version of Ring Central, looks like when you first open it. It's going to land on the messaging portion initially. Obviously, your organization will be up here. But now we've got messaging, we have video, we have telephone, we have contacts, we have tasks. Check it out. Okay. So another nice feature now in the new Ring Central is, if you have been using Ring Central for a while, you'll recall in Ring Central Classic that to adjust settings, you had to go into each different section to adjust those settings. Now we have a unified place to get to our settings in the lower left. Click on that gear icon. We can come in and adjust our settings for notifications, messaging, video, phone, contacts, calendars, and adjust keyboard shortcuts for those of you that like them. To Ben's question, if you want to try Ring Central Video, you'll open your Ring Central app, the new version, click on Settings, come to Video, and then simply toggle here the video service to Ring Central Video from Ring Central Meetings. Now, big note, if you do this, it is going to change your personal meeting ID. If you're using Ring Central Meetings right now and you switch to Ring Central Video, I can't do it or it might drop the call. I don't want that to happen. Your personal meeting ID and your personal meeting ID link will change. The good news is, because Ring Central Video is new, there's a lot of IDs out there. So you can choose your own. You can click edit, you can come in here and you can adjust it. And I'm going to have to change mine again after this meeting, because now people have it.
Good for you, man.
But another thing that is nice.
Oh, Michelle has a question. She said,
"Wait, before we leave there, Chad, can you can you put a name or a number in here, or just a number?"
Great question, Ben. I believe it's just a number. I can do.
I know the old one, you could put a name in, but also we learned the name didn't work in the new version, so there was confusion around it.
I can test that when we're done with the call and let you know. Honestly, I haven't tried,
I
but
did,
that's
but I
a
couldn't
very
put a
good
name in there.
question. Oh,
I
you
just want
couldn't?
to
Okay.
reiterate here, like switching back and forth between RingCentral Video new and RingCentral Meetings old. The only reason to do that is if you want to host on a certain platform. If you're joining meetings, you can join old or new. It doesn't matter. The
That's
app will be
correct.
intelligent enough to do that. But if you
Yes.
want to host in the old, because maybe you want breakout rooms, maybe you want
Right.
to be a host and you want breakout rooms, you have to use RingCentral Meetings. If you
For
don't
now,
care about
correct.
breakout rooms, give RingCentral Video a try. Also, I believe there's still a limit of 16 visible people in
That's
RingCentral
correct.
Video.
That's also
Yeah, and
correct.
RingCentral
Yep.
Meetings is like the
Those
Zoom
settings
limit.
are in
It's like
here.
30 or 60 or like a lot.
So the max visible, yes, Ben, is 16. That can be
Mm-hmm.
adjusted in the settings in here. Um, Something to note when you do come in, of course, make sure that, note that your link, your ID has changed, and then you can choose a different one if you like. Also, we suggest that you always use your personal meeting ID instead of creating dynamic IDs each time, because this is essentially your video conferencing number that people can reach you at. And there's a common misconception that I run into a lot with end users, where folks think that in order to have a meeting, it has to be scheduled. That's not true. Um, Simply by, like, if Ben said to me, "Hey Wyatt, I need to hop on a video call with you," I could say, "Okay, great, Ben, I'm going to fire it up. Go ahead and join me with 488-790-666." All Ben has to do is click video and click join, type in that number, and he's in. You do not have to schedule to have a meeting. I just wanted to
Mm-hmm.
clarify that. And the way you do that is you just hit start, which RingCentral calls a quick start. And when you have that setting, coming back to where we were, to always use your personal meeting ID, then it's always going to be that. So if someone has it noted, written digitally or otherwise, they can just, boom,
Yeah.
you hit
And
start, they hit join, and you're in.
Wyatt, I think we learned just recently that on the administrative side, they've now given us the ability to set that for
Yep.
everyone in the organization and lock it or
Yes, they
not.
have. Yes, they have.
And that's for anyone who's listening who has administrative access. That's a great, like, check those administrative settings for RingCentral Meetings because they change as often as the apps do, and
Yeah.
you may find new features and abilities that you didn't have before. That's a
Yes.
great way to sort of standardize the team and say this is how we're going to do it, and I'm going to set that, and I might even lock it so you can't change it. But obviously, give them a heads up. And in
Mm-hmm.
fact, Chad and I were just on a webinar we were co-hosting, but the client had set up. And I see this with Zoom. I see this with RingCentral. I see this with our clients. I see this with my wife who works at a university. They all tend to, we've even run into this. People tend to struggle with the idea that they use other people's meeting IDs. Like, and I don't really understand. I sort of understand it, but I don't really understand how to help people fix it. It's like if you think of this as your phone number, why would you use someone else's phone number to make a call? It's like use
Right.
your phone number. If you're the host, you host the meeting. Don't like use somebody
Right.
else's
Right.
meeting ID. It's
Yep.
just
And
weird.
Ben, that's a very good point, and that's the best way that we at Forget have come up with, how do we translate to end users what the personal meeting ID is? It's your video conferencing phone number. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And if you set it to always be used, then it always stays the same. And that's what I use for video conferencing.
And if
So
the
we
waiting room's
we
turned
would
on or
suggest
the
that.
lobby, it's not an issue, right? Because then you
So
still have that kind of layer. But if you don't and it's
well,
direct, then that's where we've run
so
into,
yeah, well,
trick.
at the
It gets
moment,
tricky
Chad,
then.
we're talking about video, and they have not excuse me, the waiting room is not available in video yet.
No,
Okay.
I just mean
So
generally, like, people's experiences, right? They with the zooming, first we learned that, that could be Zoom bombed if you don't have,
Zoom bomb.
password and you don't have, right? So most people's experience coming into this has been confusing, to say the
right.
least,
Well, from a security standpoint,
and especially
at
the
at the
security
at
part's
the
not good.
admin level, you can require passwords for all your users.
Mm-hmm.
At the user level, you can always use a password. And Additionally, there's a new feature, and this is only in RingCentral Video. As you can see here, we now have the ability to have only signed in coworkers be able to join, or only signed in users to RingCentral. So that's an additional layer they put in, and that's only available in RingCentral Video.
And that's
This
tricky.
option, this does
That can
pop
be
up.
too restrictive, right?
This is right. I mean, but this is global. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm going to leave it off globally. But when you go to schedule, you get that same option, right? So these are global settings. I just wanted to illustrate here how you can come in and adjust your personal meeting ID, and then make sure that you're always using it by checking that box there. Settings are here. Pretty straightforward stuff in here. It's not as granular as RingCentral Meetings. RingCentral Meetings, there's a lot more video settings. RingCentral Video, it's a bit simpler.
This is cleaner. I like it.
It is. And that's why I like it. It's cleaner, it's simpler, and that's actually what I wanted to talk about next. So when you're scheduling in RingCentral Video, in RingCentral Meetings, you would get all this information. Multiple phone numbers, regions of the country with phone numbers. And, there was a lot of information in that small invite. With RingCentral Video, I'll go ahead and schedule a test here so you can see how simple now it looks compared to what it was. So the reason, in case if anyone that's detail-oriented caught that, wait, you checked off always use your personal meeting ID. Why did it not do it? That was for quick start meetings. I'm scheduling now. So that's two separate things there. So here again is where I can require a password. I can allow users to join before, which we don't suggest, or do we, Chad? What's our take on the allow join before? We okay with allowing that?
Say that again, please.
Are we okay with allowing participants to join before the host, as long as it's a password protected meeting?
That's a great question. I generally, that's the experience most people expect.
Okay.
Right.
Understood.
So, if we have a waiting room or a password in place, that's always cool. Right. It's just, if there's nothing,
well, just to be clear, if we
all,
allow participants to join before me, then even if there's a waiting room, that's nullified. So I don't think we want to turn that on. I think we want to get in the habit of the waiting room.
The waiting room's ideal. Yeah, it really solves a lot of things, and I think it's friendlier too from my, like, as a user, the audience that's not hosting. Well, I think that's a really great experience.
We're kind of contradicting ourselves now, though, because the waiting room is not available in RingCentral Video yet.
Oh, right, RingCentral Video. Sorry, yeah. Right. I'm still stuck in the meetings world. Thank you for pointing that out.
We're just demoing video for now.
Right.
The waiting room is coming. They are working on it.
Yep.
But there are other security measures, such as the password and the authenticated user setting here. And
that's to that point. If you're having an internal meeting, use only authenticated users can join, and then you're going to ensure nobody's going to wander into your meeting room.
Yep. But for a general setting, it's tough, because then, most of the time folks are wanting to talk to people outside. That's where, it would be nice. I mean, I would like to see this go in the direction where globally you could say, allow only outside folks to use, say, the browser version. Right. To make that really friendly, so that it eliminates potential, because we could, even if we don't know about that, we could go down the rabbit hole of walking someone through, installation if they don't need to. So I think it's going to get better with time. I already like what you're showing.
Well, this is what I wanted to show folks, is that, if you've been using RingCentral Meetings, which most people have, generally this is filled with all kinds of phone numbers for regions of the country and a lot of information that most people don't need. As you can see now with RingCentral Video, it's a lot simpler. Cleaner. You've got a link, you've got an ID, a password, a one-tap join if you're on a phone, and dial in.
It's 6 times less face melting now.
Yes, it's much easier on the eyes.
And you can still get rid of the international numbers if you like. Make it a little.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you can edit this however you want. I mean, you can do it like this, or you can customize this however you like. Once this event populates in Outlook or Google or whatever.
Honestly, I have been deleting all of, I don't know, nobody cares, but I've been deleting everything in here except the link and the location.
Gotcha.
And people, because honestly, people are not going to read this anyway. They're going to click on the location thing, which is already a hot link, right? And boom, they can copy and paste it from there. But I don't even look at the body of invitations anymore. Does anybody else? Do you guys look at the bodies?
The one thing I've run into with the few
I can't even read,
is they
Chad.
still want.
I don't know how to read. What is read?
They still want the dial-in for meetings.
Oh, sure.
I've had people run into that one. True. So that's one you might not want to get rid of. But the one tap join, what that does is it just automatically puts in all the information for you. But I mean, I don't think this is really necessary. Really, like Chad was saying, this link might be worth, and then the dial-in is probably worth leaving on there.
Well, yeah. Speaking of that, how many times have we seen people they dial in from their iPhone? If they had just clicked the link, they could have joined like the full experience of the meeting from their phone.
That's a good point.
And I think it's just habits. I think people are just still trying to break those old habits of, this is a meeting I'm going to call into, or maybe they don't want to show the video and they don't know how to turn the video on or off. But yeah, you could get away with probably just sharing the link.
Yep. So
let's get back to this question.
Simpler.
Let's get back to this question. Michelle posted, and I don't know exactly where it came from, or if somebody, maybe Michelle has this question.
No, I got an email invite to a webinar.
Oh,
awesome!
And I was just wondering if Wyatt,
signed up
being
for
our
being
our expert, are you attending?
Yes, I am. Yep.
And
I'm already.
So the question is, I saw an announcement from RingCentral about an integration with Microsoft Teams, which we also use. Do you have any more info on this, or too early? I do believe we enabled that feature for our teams, and there's some handoff integration. We also enabled it in Zendesk and in Teams. And to be honest with you, I don't know if anyone's used it. I tend to just once again, have it go into the app rather than try to do it all from Teams, because I can't remember the shortcuts and things like that. But I also am curious, and that's why we wanted Wyatt to join this webinar. Maybe there's some new features that we just don't know how to use, or they're coming out with. So I'm
looking forward to seeing if there is some additional functionality that would be beneficial to our workflow. As of now, my understanding is, the integration is I can dial right out of Teams. Well, okay. I mean, like Ben said, I'm used to using either the iOS app or the soft phone version here.
Shout out to the iOS app,
machine,
because it works great.
It's solid.
I mean,
it's rock solid. Before I close out of Outlook here, anything else we want to touch on in the meeting invite?
No, that was a download, man. Thank you.
Okay.
But you reminded me, Chad, that in the early days of RingCentral, and this is not just RingCentral, this is like all the VoIP apps we've ever tested. The iOS app does tend to be a little more robust and solid as far as phone calls. I don't know why you would think the computer would have enough processing power that the phone wouldn't outshine it. But for whatever reason, I think they just spend a little more time, or Apple gives them a little more direction on how to build the soft phone on iOS. So if you're struggling for any reason on any of these RingCentral apps, I encourage you to try the soft phone, whether it's iOS or even iPad.
Yeah, it's a really good angle because it's intuitive. I remember even like pulling over back when we would actually go have meetings in person, and leaving one of those in-person meetings in my car, and I just kind of pulled over on the Kennedy on my way back up north, and like literally like 20 seconds I installed the app, had it configured and ready and whatever, because I had a meeting that I'm not awesome with calendars, and I was like, oh my god, I got to call, and I didn't have all the information, so it was just easier for me to do that, install because the link was a RingCentral meeting link, and it was slick. And so ever since then I've been a huge fan, and they put a lot of intention into the iOS version.
In fact, Chad, you're using virtual backgrounds right now driving down the Kennedy, I think, right?
right.
Are you running over children, Chad? That looks dangerous.
I can't.
Don't do that.
Do not do that. I would be like jonesing and like missing, crawling through traffic, past, division and all that stuff. Those exits that just seem to like crawl all the time.
So we have more ground to cover and a limited amount of time.
Let's do it.
And so in summation, I just wanted to touch on this for all of our clients and anyone watching that uses Ring Central, and encourage you to try the new version of Ring Central. Our goal is to get everyone into the single Ring Central app, because you can do everything from here. And yes, there is still some functionality that we're waiting on, and that's why we haven't made that push yet. But that's our goal eventually, is to keep it simple. We have one app that has messaging, it has video conferencing, telephone, conferencing, task management. It's all in one place, in one app. It's simpler for you, the end user, and it's
getting
just simpler in general. Yeah. So we'd encourage you to try Ring Central Video, especially if you're going to have a call with folks that are outside your organization, and see how you like it. See how it performs for you. And you can always toggle it back. It's not like once you flip it to video, game over. You can toggle back and forth, and toggle between the two. As Ben mentioned earlier, if you want to join a meeting, and you have it toggled to video and someone has a meetings link, that's fine. You can still join. It's only when you're the host that you need to decide, okay, do I want to use meetings or video? And that's where using video for video conferencing with folks outside of your organization, and even inside, give it a shot. Again, we are waiting on breakout rooms. That's not a feature that's in there yet. That's the biggest one that isn't in there yet. So if you need breakout rooms, we'd encourage you to continue to use Ring Central Meetings, but give Ring Central Video a try, and let us know what you think. And again, let us know if there's anything that is really glaringly missing, so that we can communicate that to Ring Central. And as always, we're happy to help you, our support desk here, with anything Ring Central related, any questions or helping you getting things configured. Let us know, and we'll take care of you.
Yeah, thanks,
Awesome.
Wyatt.
Yeah,
thanks for the demo. And I want to mention something that the way I changed, the way I work, pre-pandemic. We can't say post-pandemic yet, can we?
No,
it's gonna be a while, man.
Pre-pandemic, pandemic. Yeah. How do I work? I used to have a Ring Central desk phone on my desk, and it was pretty much like that was my phone. I treated it like a phone. I knew I could use the soft phone, but it was always kind of a hassle. Like I didn't want to do that. But now that even though I haven't even changed where I work, I still work in the office, and everyone else works outside the office. But what I discovered is, because I'm jumping from Ring Central to Zoom to WebEx to GoToMeeting to Google Meets to even Teams. Like we have internal phone calls and FaceTime calls. I know FaceTime's Apple, but face-to-face calls and Teams. So basically, I just connect my AirPods to my Mac, and I don't, pretty much for the whole day, I don't change it. When I get off the call, I put it in the case so it gets some charge between calls, and I can pretty much go all day just with some periodic boosting of the juice here with this headset. And because it's connected to my Mac, I can go across all the apps back and forth, no problem. Where I run into problems is if I decide I'm going to take a phone call and walk around, and then I have to switch the headset. And then when I switch back to the Mac is where I have to go back in and like tweak my settings. Or Chad, when we do the podcast, I have a little nicer microphone I use. And if I'm not careful, it's like the apps will remember stuff that you don't want them to remember, and they'll forget stuff that you want them to remember. And there's no rhyme or reason to it.
Yeah,
but
it's true.
It's frustrating.
It's true.
But if you can set it up and not change it, it works great. So I recommend that. I don't have a desk phone anymore. My desk is much cleaner, fewer wires, fewer cables, fewer junk, and I do it all on the soft phone. It works great.
Now, I should mention that I follow I've done the exact same thing. And for the very reason you just mentioned, I connect my AirPods to my computer, and I do everything through my computer now, because that's where everything lives, and I can do everything through there. And as you said, the challenge is if this phone rings, then I got to, and flip over that. But it's smoother to have it all through there. So I just wanted to second what you're doing and say that's a very very good workflow, and I'm enjoying using it. So I didn't mean to interrupt you. I apologize.
No, that's fine. In fact, Apple's promising, I think with the next update, that it's going to be faster to switch between devices with the AirPods. At least I've heard talk about that. Right now, I would say the experience is kind of hit or miss. And sometimes when it won't connect, like if I'm trying to switch here, I found that it helps if I disconnect my Mac before I connect here. It seems to work better.
That's exactly what I'm doing too, man.
Yep. But supposedly some type of handoff technology is going to improve either with Big Sur or the next iOS. I don't know, or both, combination of both. So I'm looking forward to that. Maybe I'll do more switching if it works better. I don't know.
Very cool.
So I have to say, I think we're going to have to call it on the resilience discussion. We grossly underestimated the amount of time we would spend on Ring Central. Optimistically thought we could do, hey, this would be great, jam-packed, 10, 15 minutes here, 10, 15 minutes there.
No shortage of things to cover,
Ring Central is a very large beast, and there's a lot to it, you know? I mean, there's all these different apps.
We still haven't covered
Outlook add-ins and plugins, and we really just scratched the surface there. But in my mind, works well when things are organized and simplified. And I just want to let everyone out there know that, like I said, our goal is to get everyone on one app. You're using one app for all of this stuff, and getting rid of all of these separate apps and making it simple. And that will happen. This will be simpler, and the brain damage will, and the stress level will come down. Ultimately. So we're working hard towards that, and hopefully Ring Central is too.
And thank you again, Wyatt. And regarding the building a resilience team, I think we should push that off to next week. And I could simplify the message by saying, if you don't have a resilience team, start building one. But that doesn't really explain why you need one, or how to build one, or who should be a part of it. And those are the things that we want to talk through and not rush through, because it's super important. If you don't have anything resembling a security/resilience team, you need to start thinking about that. So we'll do that next week. And I'm sorry if I baited
we want to make the most of
joining this call.
Yeah, it's all right. We wanted to make the most of everybody's time, especially Wyatt, because you do a nice job explaining. There's a lot to this, and so distilling it for folks is no small thing.
Yeah, I apologize. I tried to be as concise as possible. There's a lot. There's a lot that's changed, and it's and I try to reiterate things to.
No, that was good. It was good.
It's confusing. So
yeah.
And speaking of a lot, we might do another 1Password live stream, because we were just on a call previously, Chad and I, talking about 1Password.
It's come up. It's been a topic.
Yeah. And I know we've done one of those, Wyatt, and that was great. It's online, support.forgetcomputers.com. Search for 1Password. It's the top hit. But that's another deep application, and I want to try to get some clients to join us for a solid Q&A, because that's where we can really share, how to use that if we get some interaction. So
I'd love to be a part of that.
Thank you all for joining us.
I love 1Password, and I would love to be a part of that. And if you don't use 1Password, go check it out now. You can try it 30 days for free. I don't work for 1Password. I work for Ben Greiner and Forget Computers. But 1Password is
it's great.
I've been using it for over a decade. It manages multi-factor authentication. So much.
It does.
You're going to get your 35 cents promotion for mentioning 1Password several times, Wyatt. Thank you for that.
1Password is great. I really like 1Password.
Promotional link en route.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone. Well, sorry again that we couldn't get to the resilience team. We'll do it next week. And we'll see you then. Thanks.
Okay.
Bye.